live things.
It does indeed, and as that note kicks off, we went live. Good afternoon. I'm Matt. I'm joined also by Dave from Mancunia.
Hello, hello.
And Richard will be making his guest appearance back from his week away last week, and let's not go there on that one. In short, welcome to this eSellerCafe News Roundup, and this is the topics which have been going on in the past 7 days since our last live episode with you. So what has been going on in the past week? Now, these are the topics which we're going to be covering live with you here and now. And do note that down in the video description is links to all the articles over on eSellerCafe.com, so you can go and read them in more details. And before we actually get to the actual articles, I feel compelled to mention this again, is that I am sure we are going to be covering topics which have past tense stuff which is going on now, and also we're going to be looking at topics which are in the future as well. And this is one of the really cool things about being able to do these news roundups for you, is that we're able to look at the past, we're able to look at the present, and we're able to have a glimpse into the future to see how what's going on in the world of e-commerce is going to affect you and your business. So with that said, today's topics are Walmart is inviting global vendors to list on its marketplace. That follows on from last week. We were chatting about Walmart and the success of the Walmart marketplace. Again, just give you a quick recap, the channel advisor users which hit at that marketplace, most of them were still selling on there. And it is, again, if you're based in the US, it's definitely worth taking a look at. Amazon marketplace sellers, Dave, I can't wait to discuss this one, have sold, Amazon marketplace sellers have sold more than 2 billion items in 2017. That's just crazy.
Crazy numbers.
Crazy numbers. Etsy's focused on search and machine learning. We'll find out more about that in a few moments. Amazon is forcing pre-authorized returns on marketplace sellers. That's going to be a bit of a thorny one. Looking forward to discussing that one with you and Dave in a few moments' time. And Richard, he'll be joining us joining us live in a few moments' time, I'm sure. Shopify now powers 500,000 stores worldwide. Dave, we're going to have a chat about that topic because I don't think 500,000 stores is that many, but certainly growing. Amazon doubling down on fashion, including 60-minute delivery. I thought that was a typo for a moment. That's nuts. And two topics around eBay. The eBay Authenticate service is coming in the fall, which for those of you not in the US, that means the autumn. And eBay Open 2017. What have you missed? In that one, again, that would be Richard's big article on what eBay did at their open event, which only happened like a week or so ago. So, Richard, I've just been and seen you've been and joined us. Welcome, sir.
Yeah, how are you? Well, we're back to an airport terminal.
I see you got your colour stripes on as well. And by the way, to give you a quick, you're a steward for racing, aren't you? Can you just, we're going way off topic, but just help build up what we do here in the background. So, Richard, what do you actually do? And why are you traveling so much at the moment? You're kind of muted at the moment, Richard. Richard's just getting himself sorted out a moment.
Better now?
Much better. Welcome back, sir.
Much better? Okay, I have a feeling the service here is not so good, so you're breaking up a lot, but hopefully I won't break up. So, yeah, I work as a pit lane steward. My job is to make sure that they just adhere to the rules that we have. And, you know, for sports car races, we have some of the classes that run at Le Mans, that run here in North America. I do about 20 events a year right now that are 12 of them are with the sports car series, and then the other 8 are with Ferraris only. So that's kind of my job.
It's a very cool job. Very cool job.
You should see some of the videos which Richard posted on Facebook. They're absolutely mental, in the pit lane, in the thick of it. So racing's your kind of thing. Richard really is your man. So let's get back onto a less exciting topic. Walmart has started to invite more people to, or more businesses to list on their marketplace. Dave, Richard, can you tell us more about this?
Do you want me to take it, Richard?
Yeah, take that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so this one is an interesting one because previously Walmart were very much US only. So when it came to their marketplace, it was US only. Here in the UK, we have Asda and then Asda Walmart, which are like the flagship stores. But as far as the Walmart marketplace came, it was all US, sellers only. And that's what makes this interesting, is that Walmart have now expanded out into offering or trying to get sellers to bring their products into the US if they're based overseas. So again, I believe they're targeting the UK, Germany, and also China. There are still a few restrictions. There are what's the best word? Sort of limitations or eligibility things that you'll need to meet in order to do this, which means that you'll have to have a US return address. You'll also have to have inventory based in the US, so utilizing whether it be fulfilled by Amazon or another. Well, they probably would rather you didn't use fulfilled by Amazon.
Yeah, but the point, Dave, you're actually mentioning like practical points there. Which, if you were going to be leveraging the Walmart marketplace, and maybe you are based in the United Kingdom or maybe in Germany or Australia for that matter, it would make logical sense that you, again, they're enforcing it, but it also makes logical sense as well for you to explore. You would need on the ground return address and fulfillment, so that there are other options out there beyond FBA. There are other fulfillment companies, believe it or not, out there in the United States. It's a big country, which you would have to explore to get onto the Walmart marketplace. So absolutely.
Yeah. And then the third and final one is that you have to have customer service hours which align with traditional US business hours. So again, that is an easy workaround, really. Outsource members of the team can always, you can get them to whatever hours you need. They're the three main points. And whether this is in retaliation to obviously Amazon just going even more global. We talked last week about them going to Singapore. They've come out and mentioned, I think last week, that Melbourne is where the first fulfillment center is going to be in Australia. And also there's talk of South Korea as well being the next big, Amazon place out in the East. So whether Walmart's now going, we need to really be thinking globally, not just US. That seems to be what this is saying to me.
Absolutely.
I think.
Go on,
I think you're right. I think that this is. I switched to audio only. The video I think was just breaking up too much.
Yeah, you said you're not breaking up now, Rich.
Yeah. Good. I think this is just the beginning of Walmart, at least providing some expansion. When I was in Canada month or so ago, I saw a lot of advertisements at the local Walmart stores with curb pickup of products and things. They had lockers there for pickup. So clearly the marketplace part will probably come into Canada. That would be logical. I don't think it is in Canada right now. And then it's just a matter of time for it to make its way to places like the UK, Germany, and potentially. I think the China part is mostly because Amazon has a lot of Chinese products that are very popular and to compete against Alibaba's and AliExpress service, So.
I would agree.
Okay, so exciting times. They're just opening the doors, which is great. Like we said, that there are a few limitations or imposed requirements for that, which, to be honest, if you put yourselves in the shoes of a customer of Walmart's, that is not a bad thing, to say the least. Now, change in tax.
I do have a question. Walmart in the United States is typically open 24/7. So what are normal U.S. business hours?
And you've got like 4 time zones to contend with, not including Hawaii and Alaska. So who knows what standard US business hours are?
Is it EST? Is it PST? Is it
somewhere in the middle? I guess as long as there's some overlap in the middle, I'm sure they'll be okay.
Fair enough. Right, let's change tack slightly. And I'm going to read this out again because I did take a double take at it a few moments ago. Amazon Marketplace sellers sold more than 2 billion items in 2017. That's a lot of noughts, lads. Tell us more.
Well, I think it was probably 1.5 billion fidget spinners.
Yeah.
And then everybody else, you know. No, in all seriousness, Amazon, I think this is the first time, at least in recent memory, that they have sold more marketplace items than they've sold their own products. They are now over the 50% mark.
That's actually that got up. Was it last year, maybe the year before, Dave? And they were, when we did a course on Amazon, they were teetering around about 46%, didn't they? That's the details we had. And then we got then they published, I can't remember where it was, about a year, maybe 2 years ago, that it was over 50%, and that was the first time that happened. So yeah.
So either way, the trend is moving into being consistently over 50% at the moment. And let's face it, for Amazon, it's free inventory, to sell products, because this also includes products that they sell, where marketplace sellers are offering inventory on top of their inventory. It clearly shows the marketplace is not, it's not. There's still a lot of opportunity. Let me rephrase this. A lot of opportunity still there. You might not want to be the 250th person to sell that particular color fidget spinner, but if you have something a little more unique, definitely you got to put it up there, because people will look for it. And for those that recall that have been with us for a while, I think it was 3-4 months ago, just in the very beginning, we wrote a story about how there's people now that believe that Amazon might become a threat to Google when it comes to product search, because if you're going to look for something, where do you go now? You've probably started Amazon. Why would you start at Google necessarily? It's like, because everything is on Amazon. So
I think there's a very clear distinction there, and absolutely agree with you, Richard. It's like, if I'm looking to find out more about something, I go to Google. If I've already made that decision and I'm looking to buy, I go to Amazon. I don't go to Google anymore.
Gents, can I just derail us just for a moment? And before I do that, there is a really nice stat which we've got here in the notes, that in 2016, more than 100,000 sellers sold over $100,000 worth in goods on the Amazon Marketplace, which is absolutely an amazing stat, and I didn't want that one to get lost. But just to continue from what you were saying there about Amazon becoming the product search, is that I don't know if you remember a while ago, I had that really good experience with the Rigid Ink company with some PLA filament and this little Facebook chat bot, and it worked brilliantly. It told me when it'd been dispatched and etc. etc. And then I made an order on Amazon for some batteries for a new video camera, and they've got this little Chrome app, which I thought, well, it's going to be on par with that. Actually, how annoying. And I actually uninstalled it, because the moment you actually search for a product on Google, big banner at the top, it literally just hijacked underneath the URL bar. You could buy this on Amazon, a view or buy or something like that. I actually felt it was really intrusive. And yeah, I didn't like it at all. So yeah, that's a curious one. As far as their search goes, I think you're probably right. Is because I would have personally ended up on Amazon. I would have also ended up on eBay looking for exactly the same products as if I could find it for cheaper, to be brutally honest. And just give it full circle, it actually swung back round to Amazon because it was in FBA, and I got it that evening on same day delivery.
And we need to highlight the FBA part, which is probably not highlighted in the story as much. I think that is the key to success. I guarantee you that 99.999% of those people doing $100,000 a year are FBA sellers. Unless they're in a really narrow market where they don't need it, they are most likely FBA people. It's just 2-day. I mean, like for you guys, it's next day delivery. For us, it's 2-day delivery. I mean, anything longer than that, as Matt always says, it's late.
Yeah. There's actually going to be an interesting story coming up this week on eSellerCafe, which I've yet to write, but about seller fulfilled Prime. I actually interviewed a seller who sometimes watches. Jim, if you're watching, thank you for the time on Friday. But yeah, it was very interesting, and that's seller fulfilled Prime. This is now, if you meet certain criteria, Amazon will trust you to be able to fulfill Prime orders yourself. So again, another curious one, very strict, like I said, very strict guidelines to get onto that. But yeah, it could be another big win for some sellers, could cut out some costs.
Absolutely.
And just for the record, if it's not here tomorrow, it's late, and it's 4 o'clock now, 4:15, and that is just the expectations which we have now in the United Kingdom, because up to 11 o'clock in the morning, you can order on Amazon and you can have it the same day. Nuts, absolutely nuts. Anyway, let's move on. The next topic which we were going to be discussing with you today, remember there are links to all the topics which we're discussing here, and you can view and read and of course comment on the full articles, and the links to those are in the video description below. The next one, Etsy is focused upon search and machine learning. So Richard, this is actually a very blunt question for you. Is this just PR hype, or actually are they just doing something with their search and just fobbing it off, or is there some mustard to what Etsy are actually doing with their search now?
Well, there's mustard to the fact that they're finally trying to catch up to the others. You know, things like scarcity, like 1 left, 2 left, stuff like that has existed on eBay for like how many years? You know.
Yeah, forever.
And so really, for all practical purposes, you know, management no longer is worrying about how green is our office, and you know, but more worrying about how actually people interact on the marketplace. So we are going away from the social conscious company to one that's brutally, honestly working on improving technology. And that was what all this fight, you know, a few months back was all about. You know, the executive shakeup. It was that the activist investors were basically saying, guys, you know, you're a public company, you need to make money, and you can't just sit here and play around with, you know, just doing nothing on technology. And search has been horrendous. Those were their words, not ours. So they are doing what they said they're going to do, which is work on search. Is there anything innovative there? No, not yet. Will we see anything innovative? Maybe. I doubt it, though, because I think the company will be sold way before then. So it's good for Etsy sellers because they have eliminated marketing, they have eliminated operations. At least they're still they're focusing on technology. And going into the holiday season, I think it's important that they continue to do that so that the sellers still get, you know, the volume.
Yeah. So more of like a practical point of view for it to coming out of them. So if you do sell on Etsy, want to know more, there's a link to that article in the video description.
Just related to that as well, Matt, is just again, a few hours ago, it came out that Etsy actually posted a surprise profit for Q2 this year. Which again, so sort of, it's apparently Wall Street analysts wasn't expecting it, but they got rid of 26% of their workforce. That's a massive overhead cut. I imagine if you can't turn profit from getting rid of a quarter of your workforce, then something's really wrong. So yeah, apparently the share price has jumped a little bit on that news, and I'm like, well, I wasn't surprised. I'd be more surprised if they posted a loss.
Yeah, I will say this. Maybe what was surprising about it is that it happened in this quarter, not the next quarter, because yeah, you know, when you slash 22% of your workforce, as they did, you do have costs involved with that. They did say there was going to be some costs involved with it. So despite the additional cost of getting rid of people, they were able to pull a profit. You know, normally those would be the kind of things you would see in the next quarter. But it also shows to me that they really wanted to just clean house quite a bit and streamline the company as quickly as possible to make it attractive for what I still say will be a sale at some point or a merger, because if you can get rid of 22% of your workforce and everything still continues to work, that means you are really bloated.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be fair, they have grown. They've got 4 million more active buyers than they had this time last year, and revenue is up 19% on the same period of last year. So fair play to Etsy.
Wouldn't eBay like a 19% increase? Right, just putting that into perspective. Again, a smaller marketplace compared to a much larger one. 19%, that kind of stuff. That's almost Amazon territory, isn't it?
Well, it's one of those, isn't it? I think 4 million buyers in eBay's terms is not a lot. But to like I said, to Etsy, that's a decent percentage growth.
Yeah, no, it definitely is, and I think I guess we'll have a story on the revenues when I get a chance to write it whenever it lands. I'm delayed. That's why I could do this today, because I was supposed to be in a plane at this point.
Okay, gents. Moving on. Amazon. She bites. Amazon is now forcing, and this is the crucial word, forcing pre-authorized returns to marketplace sellers. Richard, is this an across-the-board one? Is this just going to be a complete nightmare? What's your thoughts on it, Dave and Richard?
Well, if you read the comments that sellers posted online, you'd think the world is coming to an end. But let's be realistic about it too. And actually, I'm in the middle of writing a piece about just that and it has a clever title, which I will not reveal yet because it's to the point. You do have to step back from these things a little bit and really read the details. Number one, what they said is, yes, we're going to force buyers if you fulfill your own products, in other words, you don't use FBA, that you will have to pay for return shipping by provide a label. We will even give you the option to do returnless refunds, which is, if you have a dollar item, most likely you don't want it back. Things like that. All these things that Amazon already does and has done to grow their business, they're just now going to say, we want everybody on Amazon to operate the same way. Now, the impetus here is probably they want to streamline the experience. They want to make it more equal, because like we've been talking about, the three of us, we probably always look, who's fulfilling this? And depending who fulfills it, that's where we buy from. And so what Amazon really is trying to sit here do is say, okay, we want the fulfilled by merchants volume to increase, so they need to step it up. Having said that, there are a couple caveats here. Number one, this wasn't in the email that most sellers received. This was on a page that Amazon put out. You can exempt up to 50,000 SKUs from this, which for the most part should cover virtually most small business sellers, because how many people have more than 50,000 SKUs? And if you have more than 50,000 SKUs, you're most likely in some kind of business that already does these type of returns, because you have to be competitive in your marketplace. It also does not apply to people who cannot take returns. For example, if you sell medical supplies, you may not be able to take returns legally, So there are a bunch of exceptions in this policy, and you can work around this policy. So it's not this doomsday that even CNBC picked up the story from one seller, it's not the doomsday that it's being portrayed to be. And this is what my story will be about. It's also being pushed by eBay, and we'll talk about that maybe a little later as well. So they're not the only ones. The reality is people are going to have to adjust to these new realities of e-commerce.
Absolutely. And I spoke to a seller last week on Friday. He actually thought this was a good thing. He said that, returns and buyer returns were a massive headache for him. And if Amazon's going to take control of that and give them the option to just print out, return labels, he was all for it. So yeah, I think a lot of people read the headline, worry for no reason, without going into the full details.
Well, I think what it does two things. Number one, the really good sellers that understand this business, they're going to say this will get all the shit bums, excuse my French, out of the way, because we just get rid of all the deadwood out off the system, so so those who are doing it right can actually do it. Second, if you're going to have if you have return problems, maybe you have wrong inventory. maybe you're selling something you shouldn't be selling. If you have high returns in some products, maybe it's time to just get rid of that and
Or
find
your
something else to
listing
sell.
isn't accurate, or your images aren't good enough.
Yeah. There's a zillion reasons for that. And so I think those people that complain the loudest are probably the ones that are the laziest when it comes to actually doing it right. I hate to say it that way, but I believe that's the case.
I think you could be onto something.
Indeed. Now, there's the link to the full article, so you can find out the more full details in the video description below. Changing topic, Shopify, 500,000 stores now powered by Shopify. That is no small number at all, is it? At all. And by the way, Richard, I will send you a link after this live e-commerce roundup so that we can delve into this and put everything into a little bit more proportion over the maybe the next week or two as well. But 500,000 stores now powered by Shopify. Who's going to buy it? Are they going to be able to carry on to fight for themselves? Or that's a lot of stores. By any stretch.
I think the thing for me is obviously in the game that we're in, Matt and Richard, 500,000. It doesn't sound that exciting. You look at the size of WordPress, you look at the size of Magento, and those guys are in the multi-millions. And I think, but the thing that's very easy to forget is Shopify is the new kid on the block. They've not been around that long, really. And the amount of impact they've managed to have in a short space of time is brilliant. I mean, they really have come in and I would say brought e-commerce to a whole new market who maybe previously didn't know a great deal about how to set up an online store, do they need to code and all the rest of it. They've really gone after the convenience market, and I think that sort of growth curve is not going to slow down.
Well, I think the one other aspect of that is, yes, we see, WooCommerce and Magento and everybody that has community edition software kind of tout how many downloads they've had, but how many of them are actually running and operational?
How many active users?
How many active users? And when you set up a Shopify.
Funny you should say that, gents. I thought you might put that up. And again, Richard, I'm sure once he sees this, he'll write an article for you on this. But I've got some stats here in the background. And WooCommerce, by no stretch of the imagination, is just basically pure ownage when it comes to shopping cart sites. They are right up at the top by a country mile, which is no big surprise because it's based upon WordPress, like the #1 content management system out there on the interwebs, and it's free, and so it's no big surprise WooCommerce is up as high as what it is. Then that is, and I'm not even going to say closely, it's a good like third behind is Magento in the list, and then Shopify is only, and I say only, just behind Magento, and obviously that's not including Magento Enterprise, which would bump it up a little bit, but Shopify is only just a little bit behind. Shopify is only a little bit behind Magento, and that's been around for quite a period of time, to say the least.
Well, and this is, that's what it boils down to is, if you're going to have a Shopify store, you most likely aren't just sitting there spending $30 or $50 or $100 a month just to maintain the store with nothing on it. Yet, how many people, and you guys know this better than me even, how many people go, I'll download a Magento on my $8.99 a month web service account, and I'm trying to run a store with 100,000 SKUs, and how that doesn't work, So how many of those people exist? And I think there's quite a few of them. So when you actually look at the reality of businesses operating, e-commerce businesses operating, Shopify probably, they have a very large chunk of the stores that are operating are probably actually fully operational, not in development, not just lingering around on a $8.99 a month web service, so it does matter. And I think that they're trying to become somewhat of a marketplace where maybe, I shop for products from one portal and find them across all that. I don't know. I have the feeling this is where this might be heading. I know they've been rumored to be, for sale or be an acquisition target, but I think they're getting too expensive for that. It would have to be someone of a significant size, and I'm not. I don't even mean eBay. Maybe more like someone like Walmart that might have an interest in that, because It's they're getting, they're nearly at the point of making money. They're making money on gross numbers, on gross profit. They're only losing money because they have certain write-offs and stuff, and some of that is accounting tricks. So we got to be, I think they're very, very close to being actually a liquid business. And once they reach that, that makes them very expensive as a takeover, but it also makes them a major force in this game.
I think, yeah, absolutely. I think the best thing Shopify can do is to remain independent. You look at what they've achieved so far and the growth. I mean, we're saying largest gains in emerging markets, 70% new merchant growth in Africa, 82% new merchant growth in Asia, 168% new merchant growth in South America. And in the last 12 months, 131 million people have purchased from a store powered by Shopify. These guys are not a small fish. And they've got this far on their own. So why would they need anyone else to come and start interfering with their plans?
Yeah, and surprising to me a little bit is I always thought BigCommerce was sort of like the really spearheading this type of business.
Well, Richard, you mentioned BigCommerce again. I got these stats, and I'm sure Richard would have put this into an article for you. Is ironically, BigCommerce has decreased across the entire web. By I won't give the exact numbers because they'll change, but they have decreased by a decent percentage, whereas Shopify, so BigCommerce went down 1,400 sites in the quarter, and Shopify went up 35,000 sites. That is the disparity, and it always was BigCommerce, and is being as a all-in-one package.
And I think I think they're trying to catch up. I think they're doing some things that I've seen from BigCommerce that I think they're getting the point that they need to catch up. I just hope that BigCommerce didn't let Shopify just run over them, because I think BigCommerce, I've had some early dealings with them when I initially thought about doing some e-commerce. I thought they were a very good company, personally, but I think they became a little complacent, in my opinion.
I think that's one of the biggest challenges that BigCommerce will have now, because you look at the momentum that Shopify now has. And Shopify was very clever in the early days. Just a few years ago, they had the likes of Seth Godin, Gary Vaynerchuk, who I believe is an investor in Shopify. All these big influencers with big audiences touting these Shopify website competitions, and garnered a massive following and a massive audience. Really put that brand out there. I never really knew much about BigCommerce until I went and looked for them. Whereas everybody seems to know what Shopify is and what they're doing, and I think it's going to be very hard to slow down that momentum unless Shopify really mess it up.
Yeah, let's face the facts. Shopify, its name is much cooler than BigCommerce. You might laugh, and I'm giggling to myself, but it does sound cooler than BigCommerce. And frankly, it's no big surprise. And again, I am coming from a biased point of view. I've dealt with the BigCommerce API. The way in which it handles variations is terrible. The way in which it handled variations in the interface was equally as terrible. It wasn't very user friendly. And then Dave, me and you looked at the UI for Shopify, and it was all very friendly, to be brutally honest.
It was very, very easy.
Million, and I mean a million times easier. There's no big surprise that basically Shopify is outstripping BigCommerce.
And they're improving the interface. They're actually consolidating some of the presentation, so that that it looks more the same across the board, because they did have some oddities here and there, and they're definitely into that. Make it easier, and they attracted large enterprise customers to them, which also helps, because it gives them a little bit that Magento, hey, we manage these big stores.
Yeah, it gives them that validation. We can handle big guys. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, Trump's made in China business is run by a Canadian company.
Mm-hmm.
Right, changing topics very quickly before we get into politics. Amazon is doubling down on fashion, including 60-minute delivery. How cool is that? What's that? Richard, tell us more. Is this like my missus is going to be able to go on Amazon and get a new dress to go out within an hour on a Friday afternoon? What's the deal behind this one?
Well, she's going to have to move to London first, so that's the first
don't want to do that. But if we did live in London,
if you did live in London, in select zip codes, postal codes, that is for you guys. So what? Yes, Amazon is going to be represented at the London Fashion Show for the first time through. And I must admit now, I can't remember the name of the company they're doing it with because I don't have this in front of me.
Panda?
Nico Panda. Yep, there you go.
Yep.
I'm not, as you can tell, I'm not the
Look
most.
at Dave, the fashionista.
I've just got the show notes in the background. I did used to work in fashion, though, which does help.
Yeah. I never dealt with fashion. So, anyways, so in conjunction with them, they're releasing a 7-item collection, which is called a Street Collection, I believe. It's the beginning, and they're showing it off at on the runway. So it's not just like a little booth somewhere, but it's going to be on the runway. Wow. And they're using the EU or Europe. They're using Europe for this to start. Although I guess the company's American technically, but that's beside the point. So in any case, what they're going after is they're trying to really up their game in fashion. And then on top of that, they said, oh, by the way, if you live in these postal codes in London, you can have this delivered to you for, I think it was, £8.99 or something in 60 minutes or less. So just in case you need to go to this party and need some new threads for your party, while you're taking a shower or a bath, Amazon will deliver the clothes for you.
Yeah, you can order a pizza and a new outfit and get it at the same time.
Yeah. Think about that for a second.
Will Amazon be buying Domino's in the near future?
I'll just stick with the pizza.
1 hour delivery. And will every Domino's pizza parlor be converted to an Amazon
fulfillment
center on your high street coming soon? Who knows?
Well, here's the problem. You just said Domino's and pizza in the same sentence. I would say that those two don't go together because I don't think Domino's is pizza, but that's beside the point.
Matt's beloved Domino's.
Very hungry. Right.
Yeah.
Next.
But to go back to this topic, yes, it is definitely, we're going to see more of this. Clearly, they already owned in the United States 16% of the online fashion market. And that was just 4 or 5 months ago. The next closest competitor was at 8. So they're already in the United States, but doubling the number. This is aimed at Europe, at the EU marketplaces. EU fashion marketplaces they have. It's going to grow, and it's going to. It's really going to get to the point where, you run out of underwear. Oh, it'll be faster to order it from Amazon and put it in the wash.
It is nuts.
The throwaway society continues.
I think it's absolutely brilliant. I'm sure many of you already know how much of an advocate I am for same day and next day delivery. Because, and again, I'm going to say it again, if it's not here tomorrow, it's late, and it's point blank as simple as that. And it's Amazon which are setting that expectation for consumers, in short, and especially for me, personally speaking. Now, Richard, we've got a new eBay Authenticate service coming in the fall. Now, is counterfeit still really a big issue on eBay? Is this a major problem? What is this service actually going to do?
I'll let Dave handle this one. I think it is, but so.
Yeah, no, there's definitely amongst the higher brands. So we're talking, your Louis Vuitton bags, your Tag Heuer watches, Rolexes especially. They are probably still amongst the most counterfeited. And there is still, whilst, I think there was always the big problem with these high-end brands is they tried to stay away from the marketplaces, because they felt it cheapened the brand, but also because they were already aware of the counterfeit issue and didn't want to make it harder for people to find the genuine product. So basically, if you wanted a brand new Rolex, you couldn't buy one on eBay. That is no longer we're sort of moving away from that, and brands are now, and you can't blame them, moving towards marketplaces due to the audience that's on there. Why would you hide yourself away from millions of potential buyers? So it comes to a point where, yes, obviously Tag Heuer, we talked about a few months ago, launched a store on Tmall, over in China. They actually have their own dedicated, watch shop over there. And that is their answer, is that, right, well, avoiding the marketplaces didn't help. So now we're going to go to the marketplaces, and hopefully that will make it clearer that you're buying from a genuine retailer. So, and I mean, as part of the Authenticate service coming out in autumn or fall in America, the first part is going to be handbags. Again, this is something which very easy to counterfeit. If anyone's ever been on a holiday in Spain, France, and spending time about it, you've got Dolce and Gabbana,
Mexico.
Yeah, I've never been, but I imagine it's the same. With your Folkley sunglasses and everything else. These brand name products are very easy to replicate, very easy to knock off, and easy to pass off as originals. And I think that is the issue. When you're buying from a man at the side of a street a Rolex for €10, you probably know it's not real.
It's a genuine fake.
It's a genuine fake, of course. It says Rolex on it. It once walked past someone who was wearing a real Rolex. So it's near enough the same. But yeah, it comes to the point where eBay are now realizing that, we need to do something about this. We need to make sure that buyers have the confidence to sell genuine products. And again, the high-ticketed items, it's in eBay's interest. That's a much larger percentage. Of their 3%, that's a much larger amount that they get to take in the final value fees. So it's in their interest to sell high-end products, really. So yeah, this authentication program, I think it's a good thing. I know we had a comment on the blog from a chap who sells Rolexes and high-end watches. He was really looking forward to this. He was just worried that this authentication service didn't damage the product.
Yeah, that's a good. That might be, that could be a concern. I can see that. I'm going to step back a few years. I'm going to date myself. In early 2003, I think it was. I worked for a company called Momo, which is automotive accessories, and we were one of the very first people on eBay. I'm going to say very first few hundred, that is, that were part of the Vero program, the verified owners, rights owners program. And basically, it gave us the possibility to take down anybody that was using our images, and we could also kind of use authorized seller schemes. So saying, okay, we knew somebody wasn't an authorized seller, we could use that. We had to be a little bit more clever about it. But in any case, the bottom line is, we had the same concerns. We wanted to make sure that people were selling genuine Momo products, and that it was sellers that we knew that could service the product if necessary. And so we actually created an authorized dealer list that we publicly posted on eBay's, because every Vero member was supposed to have a page indicating who they are. And on that page, we listed like 7 sellers that we said, these 7 sellers are authenticated by us to be authorized dealers. I had suggested at eBay since then, being part of being part of Vero, and then also as a seller when I had an account manager, why doesn't eBay do one simple thing? Allow Vero members, to authenticate sellers and say yes, and then put next to their name, this seller was authenticated by this brand. So if the brand name appears in the title and the seller was authenticated to use, let's say, Rolex, then you're getting a Rolex product, or Momo and a Momo product. This is such a simple thing to do, and I don't know why 20 years later or 17 years later, whatever, we still can't do this. And instead we have this new scheme of sending things here and there, when you could solve this through technology in a much simpler way. And like I said, I suggested this 17 years ago to them.
Anyway,
I don't know.
Let's move on. And again, the full details are in the links to the articles in the video description for you. Now, maybe onto a more positive note. Richard, what happened at the eBay Open 2017 event? Because it was a sellout event, and I know that you've been working on, and it's now been published, the eBay Open 2017 review. What's the major takeaways from the eBay Open event?
Yeah, this is the longest article I ever wrote. It took me a long time to write it, and I had a couple of headaches after it. So I'm not going to go through the whole article. Basically, there's a lot of information there. I think if you don't have the time to watch the videos, that are posted on eBay's Facebook page. Read the article because it does sum it up pretty good. But I would suggest that if you're a serious eBay seller, watch the full videos. It's only like total of 5 or 6 hours of videos, and you'll learn a lot of where they're going. Yeah. So you'll learn a lot about where they're going. You can see that they're trying to be different. They even acknowledge the fact, yes, you've heard some of these things from us before, but this time we really are changing. They're trying to put, sellers up front. They want to make sure, they use the word partner a lot of times. They want sellers to, to think that this is a partnership. eBay is a technology partner. That's how they're trying to brand themselves now to sellers. We are a technology partner. And of course, they between all the rah-rah sessions and at times, I think I even use it in the article. Anybody's ever seen one of those Amway things, those multi-level marketing, if you go to one of those, you've seen one of those Amway conferences on YouTube or so, you're kind of like, well, this looks a lot like it, but, but it was positive, and that's what they're supposed to do. The most interesting thing they demonstrated as far as new technology is that image search. Mm-hmm. We had an article on it because the image search was released the same day Open started. They had created a video, which was, just a minute segment. If you watch the actual demo on during eBay Open, it's, I think, about 10 minutes or so. It's really pretty cool. And although I'm sure that they've used images they knew were going to give them the right results and stuff, but it shows you where we're headed. And if this thing works like half as good as it showed on the demo in real life, it's a pretty big change of what's going to happen with e-commerce. Because sooner or later we're just going to be taking pictures and hitting search, and we might be Google search down the road. Who knows? But it shows where it's headed, and I think it's pretty cool. So that's definitely something to look out for. It's definitely going to apply to the fashion sellers.
I think, again, on that one as well, the find it on eBay piece, linking to social, huge potential. Absolutely huge potential. So and obviously,
and obviously there's an affiliate scheme there too, so that people on the blogs can make money with that. And then the other part that got a lot of attention was about return policies and so on. Now, there was a little bit that kind of, I call it the little golf clap, the polite golf clapping when people.
But they're not really that impressed, but just want to be polite.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of like what they got, because it's the same thing as what we talked about with Amazon earlier. It's, again, they're pushing for prepaid returns. They're pushing for, again, they're not making them mandatory, but they are going to highlight them in search. And there is something that they've worked on very quietly called product pages. Ding, 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 ding. We've been talking about that possibility for years, that we're going to get these Amazon-style product pages. Well, they're here. Oh, by the way, there are 200 million of them already. So very quietly, they generated 200 million product pages, all based on SKUs or UPCs, EANs, some whatever, common identifier. And what sellers are going to be competing for is going to be on return policy, on price, on availability, on how quickly you can ship it and get it there. So all these things are going to play factors in them now. So again, here we are. We're going to probably weed out a bunch of sellers that shouldn't be on eBay in order to boost the sellers that should be on eBay. But in the end of the day, it's going to. What the biggest advantage of having these product pages is you have a destination link for Google, because previously, if you put in something on Google and you found a few eBay, and then, you go to the eBay page and it was already sold. Now, if it is something that they sell a lot of, there's going to be this product page. You're going to have new, used, refurbished, all these variations you can choose from.
Richard, just to take that one off on a slightly different slant, that's also more helpful for affiliates, for example, eBay affiliates, whereas before you had to do a search, or you could link to a specific item like you were saying a few moments ago. But if that item's ended or is no longer in stock, then it's just a dead link and you've lost your conversion on it.
Exactly.
If you did take it to a product page, then it would be more effective, in short.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So some of the things they're doing, yes, the old-time eBay people are going to say, or sellers are going to say, oh, no, we're going to become like Amazon. Well, you know what? E-commerce is becoming like Amazon. Deal with it. I hate to say it. It's like, what's that company in Europe that you guys told me about? They're only on they only sell on marketplaces, and every time marketplaces make a change, they just deal with it and keep going. They're what, $100 million a year company. I think the one German company, I forgot what the name of it was. Starts with an M, I think. You guys had them in UE. Anyways, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So the bottom line is that you just got to adjust. And if the products you're selling don't work well for that type of environment, then you either got to find a different environment or different products. The fact is, disruption happens in retail all the time. It's happened in 1900 when Sears Roebuck started putting out catalogs, and it's happened since then. It's not going to stop,
It happens in all industries. And I was watching, there was a fantastic BBC documentary a short while ago on chocolates with, what was it, Rowntree's, Bourneville and Cadbury's becoming brand names, and with the smaller, I'm going to use the words shops or artisans, really did feel the pinch for what was going on with that. And it's been an issue for years, and it always has been, and it probably always will be.
Yeah, so, it always will be.
Yeah,
I mean, let's face it. In Europe, you had two big disruptors: World War I and World War II. You had to deal with it too.
Yeah,
yeah. It's a fact of life.
So, gents, we've hit our time limit. It's time for us to wrap up. Just to quickly recap the topics which we covered live here with you today. Walmart is inviting global vendors, not just those based in the United States, onto its marketplace. There's a link to that if you're interested in that in the video description for you. Amazon marketplace sellers have sold over 2 billion items in 2017. Etsy apparently reported a profit, which was unexpected apparently, because they got rid of, what was it, 26% of their workforce, and they're going to be focusing upon search and machine learning, which is kind of a given, to be honest. Amazon is forcing pre-authorized returns for marketplace sellers. If you'd like to know more about that, there's a link to that in the video description. Shopify is plowing the way forwards with now 500,000 stores being powered by Shopify. That is big numbers that's not small numbers by any stretch of the imagination. They've done really, really well, and we did go off topic slightly. We put it into proportion with, say, BigCommerce, for example. Maybe they call BigCommerce dapping, and have just done a better job. Personally, I think they have. I'll let you take your own view on that one. Amazon is now doubling down on fashion. Obviously a big growth area for them, potentially 60-minute delivery. So you could have a new dress or t-shirt or whatever with you within 60 minutes if you're in London, as fast as you could get a pizza. That's crazy times. The authentication coming for eBay in the autumn or fall. We heard Richard's comment on that one, which I think is just kind of a no-brainer. It's probably the simplest solution rather than putting another third party in the mix. And the last topic which we covered is eBay Open 2017. Potentially, well, the longest article Richard has been written today, and it covers everything, and the link to that is in the video description for you. So on that note, time for us to go. Big thank you to Richard again, joining us from the Departure Lounge.
Milwaukee Airport.
Milwaukee
Airport, and Dave based in Manchester here in the United Kingdom, and of course from myself, Matt, in Bristolia. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this episode. Any comments or questions, all the links to each of these articles are in the video description for you. And on that note, we shall see you same time next Monday. For myself, Matt.
For me, Dave.
And for me, Richard. Cheers.
Cheerios.
Guys.
Bye-bye.
Cheerios. Bye.